The market was loud, filled with alien voices shouting over each other. Spices, weapons, stolen tech, all traded without care. But in a shadowy corner, something darker was happening. Jackson didn't belong here. A human walking through the lawless black market of Urx-9 was a rare sight. Most humans avoided this place after the last galactic war. But Jackson wasn't most humans. He had fought in that war. Now he traded things, dangerous things, for those desperate enough to deal with him. He stepped into a rusted dome tent, where an old Yurkan trader waited. The Yurkan had too many teeth and a smile too wide. Behind him, caged beings, some animal, some sentient, stared with empty eyes. Jackson didn't flinch. He was here for a weapon. Something strong. Something off the books. You have the item? Jackson asked. The Yurkan hissed a laugh and placed a black cube on the table. Inside it was a dormant AI chip banned in every legal sector. Illegal, deadly, perfect. It's not cheap, the Yurkan said. I brought credits. The trader paused. His eyes shifted toward the back of the tent. Or maybe you'd accept a different kind of deal? Jackson narrowed his eyes. What kind? The Yurkan clapped. A moment later, a pair of guards dragged someone out of the shadows. She looked humanoid, but not human. Blue-gray skin. Eyes like lightning storms. Chains on her wrists and ankles. She was bruised but stood tall. She's trouble, the Yurkan said. Rebellious. Dangerous. Killed her last master. Why would I want a slave? Because she's more than that. Bio-enhanced. Stronger than a standard fighter. And she hates slavers. Jackson looked at her. She didn't lower her eyes. She stared at him like she could see into his mind. Something twisted in his chest. Not fear, something else. What's her name? She doesn't speak, the Yurkan shrugged. Doesn't follow commands, you'll have to break her in. Jackson didn't like the way he said that. Take her, Jackson said suddenly. The Yurkan blinked. You what? I'll take her, as payment. Give me the chip and her. The alien grinned again. Your funeral, human. The deal was done fast. The girl didn't struggle, but her eyes didn't hide what she felt: hate, suspicion, and something close to confusion. Jackson didn't touch her. He just motioned for her to follow as he walked out of the dome. Outside, the wind blew dust across the narrow alleyways. The two walked in silence, the chains on her ankles making soft clinks. Jackson took her to his ship, a small but well-equipped freighter hidden outside the main city walls. Inside, he opened a medkit and tossed it her way. Clean yourself up. There's food in the next room. You're not a slave anymore. She didn't move. He turned to leave. You don't own me? Her voice was raspy, like it hadn't been used in years. No, he said without turning around. Why? Jackson stopped, hand on the doorframe. Because I know what it feels like to be owned. And I don't do that to people. She stared at the back of his head. You still took me as payment. I had to get you out of there somehow. That night, Jackson locked the ship's doors out of habit, not fear. The girl didn't try to escape. Instead, she sat in the dark mess hall, staring at a bowl of food she didn't eat. Her name was still unknown. So was her story. Jackson sat across from her hours later. What do I call you? She glanced up. You can call me dead if you betray me, he smirked. That's a long name. She didn't laugh. He tried again. All right, how about I call you Raya? Her expression shifted, just slightly. You hate it? It's fine. Okay then, Raya. For the next 3 days, they traveled in silence. Jackson worked on the AI chip, making sure it wouldn't fry the ship systems. Raya wandered the halls, always alert, like she expected betrayal any second. Then came the explosion. The ship jolted hard, alarms blaring. Jackson flew to the cockpit, hands on controls. They were under attack, no warning, just a hit from a cloaked drone. Hang on, he shouted. Rya appeared beside him. You brought enemies? No, Jackson grunted, staring hard. They're not mine. Outside, 2 black drones zipped through space, firing plasma bolts. Jackson dodged one blast but took another on the wing. Powers down. He barked, I need you to. Before he could finish, Rhea was gone. She sprinted through the ship like she knew it by heart, found the weapons bay, and within seconds, the turret guns powered up manually. She didn't just fire. She hunted with precision. She blasted one drone out of the sky and damaged the second enough to send it retreating into darkness. When the dust settled, Jackson sat in the pilot seat, breathing hard. Rhea returned, smoke on her hands. You saved. U.S., he said. She didn't respond. Just sat down across from him. You're not what I expected. She leaned forward. Neither are you. But something in her voice changed. Less sharp. A little curious. Jackson didn't know yet who had sent those drones or why. But he knew this. Taking Rya as payment wasn't the end of a deal. It was the start of a war. Jackson checked the damage to the ship. One engine was cracked and half the external sensors were gone. They couldn't fly far, not without being blind. He knelt beside the damaged panel, tools in hand, sweat on his brow. Rhea stood beside him, arms crossed, watching like a silent shadow. You've done this before, she said finally. He kept working. Too many times. Your enemies. They found you already. Jackson didn't look up. I've made a few. Over the years. Rya crouched beside him. That was a military drone. Not mercenary. Clean tech, high-grade plasma. Not sold on black markets, I noticed. Rya's eyes narrowed. So why would a military drone target you? He stopped, turning the wrench. His voice dropped. Because I stole something. Something they want back. She waited. Jackson didn't want to say it, but she had saved his life. He owed her the truth. That AI chip I bought? It's not just any chip. It's a prototype one that was shut down. During the last war, they built it to control minds. It was banned before it ever launched. Rya's expression hardened. You're carrying a mind control weapon? No, I'm trying to destroy it before anyone else uses it. Rya stood and backed away. Her hands curled into fists. I don't use tools like that, he said quickly. But I needed to know how it worked before I could destroy it. That's why I bought it. She didn't move for a while. The ship hummed quietly around them. Finally, she said, if you lied to me, ever I'll put a hole through your heart before you blink. He nodded. Fair. She walked away. He let her. Later, in the quiet mess room, Rhea stared at the stars through a window. Jackson joined her with a datapad in hand. Coordinates, he said. There's a scrapyard moon nearby. We can land there. Fix the ship and lay low for a bit. What else is there? He raised an eyebrow. Scavengers, killers, thieves. Good people too, maybe, but mostly bad. She looked at him. Sounds familiar. They landed on the scrapyard moon hours. Later. The place looked like death itself, giant heaps of rusted metal, broken ships, flickering lights, and wandering machines that scavenged anything still warm. Jackson parked the ship between 2 massive wrecks and cloaked the hull with dust blankets. They stepped out, weapons ready. I'll need wiring, heat couplers, and a nav core regulator. Jackson muttered. Rya moved beside him like a shadow. You're not going alone. I wasn't going to. They made their way through the maze of junk. No one spoke to them at first, but Jackson could feel eyes watching from the shadows. Creatures with glowing eyes and twisted bodies. Rya didn't blink. She walked like a hunter. They reached a supply trader under a broken cruiser wing. The alien had oily skin and 10 hands. I need parts, Jackson said. You got trade? Credits. Clean. The alien laughed. Not here you don't, on this. Moon, you trade in blood or secrets? Jackson paused, unsure. Rhea stepped forward and dropped a small metal cube onto the table. The alien's many eyes lit up. A neural cipher, rare. Fine. Take your parts. But don't stay long. Something's coming. I can feel it. As they turned to leave, a shout rang out. There! That's the human. The one with the chip, Jackson spun. 4 figures in dark. Armor stormed through the junk, rifles up. Rhea didn't hesitate. She pushed Jackson down and fired from the hip. The first attacker dropped instantly. The others returned fire, metal shrapnel flying in all directions. Junk piles collapsed. Jackson crawled behind a rusted hull and pulled his pistol. Rhea moved like lightning, leaping over wreckage, dodging, firing. She didn't kill to survive. She killed with purpose. One by one, the attackers fell. The last one tried to flee, but Rhea caught him and slammed him against a wall. Who sent you? She growled. The alien coughed blood. They want the chip. They know he has it. They marked him. Who's they? But he was already dead. Jackson stepped up beside her, shaken. You okay? Rhea turned to him, breathing hard. They're tracking you. I know. They shouldn't have found us this fast. They're not tracking the ship, she said. Slowly. They're tracking you. He went still. What? She looked at his arm, then his chest. Her eyes narrowed. They implanted something in you. When? Jackson shook his head. I don't know. Maybe when I was captured last year. I thought they just questioned me. No, she said firmly. They used you. They let you go so you'd lead them. He suddenly felt cold. We need to get it out, she said. I'll die if you cut it wrong. I won't. That night, inside the medbay, Jackson lay back on a metal table. Sweat rolled down his face. Rhea held the surgical tool with steady hands. You sure you're ready for this? He asked. She gave him a rare smile. You trusted me when I was chained. Now it's my turn. And as the tool cut into flesh, Jackson realized something terrifying. This girl who once wanted to kill every master. Now she was trying to save his life. The medbay smelled of sterilizer and burning metal. Jackson gritted his teeth, holding back a scream as Rhea worked. Her hands were steady, her face calm, but her eyes watched every move with deadly focus. You're shaking, she said. I'm trying not to pass out, he muttered. She didn't pause. Good, stay awake. She used the scanner again, tracing the signal deeper into his upper chest. The implant was hidden beneath a layer of scar tissue. She had to cut near a major artery. One wrong move and he could bleed out. You sure you were just a slave? Jackson breathed out. You work like a surgeon. I learned in the camps, she said flatly. Those who couldn't heal didn't last. Her voice made him go quiet. Pain pulsed through him, but his thoughts shifted. He had guessed she'd come from somewhere dark, but the way she said camps carried weight, like something too big to explain. Almost there, she said. She made one last incision and reached in with forceps. A tiny metal chip no bigger than a fingernail came out slick with blood. It blinked faintly with red light. Tracker, she confirmed. It's dead now. He exhaled, trembling. She closed the wound with a patch sealer and stepped back. You'll live. He looked up at her. You saved me again. She wiped her hands, then glanced at him. Now we're even. He smiled, even through the pain. I don't think we'll ever be even. That night, Jackson couldn't sleep. The ache in his chest reminded him how close he'd come to dying. Again. But more than that, something bothered him. Why had the military gone through so much trouble for one chip? Why implant him with a tracker? Why risk exposure in a black market zone? And who exactly had sent those drones and soldiers? He found Raya sitting alone in the cockpit, watching the stars. You ever think about freedom? He asked. She didn't. Look away. Every day. What does it mean to you? Rhea didn't answer at first. Then she said, it's not about being alone. It's about having a choice. Slaves don't get to choose anything, he nodded. And now? She finally turned to face him. I chose not to run. I chose to help you. He sat beside her. Then I guess we're both fugitives now. They shared a quiet moment before. The alert system pinged. Jackson checked the console. A message encrypted, bouncing between deep space relays. He frowned. It's not a warning. It's an invitation. From who? Raya asked. He decrypted the signal. A symbol appeared, an old Earth military seal, long abandoned. This doesn't make sense, he said. That base was destroyed 10 years ago. You're sure? I watched it burn, but the message said otherwise. It gave coordinates. A meeting point. Trap? Raya asked. Most likely, he said. But maybe not. Maybe someone inside wants to talk. Then we prepare to fight. They left the scrapyard moon before dawn, flying through empty black space toward the ghost coordinates. On the way, Jackson upgraded the ship's defenses while Rhea trained in the cargo bay. She moved like a storm-fast, brutal, without hesitation. You fight like a soldier, he said once. I fought before I could walk, she replied. Born in war, raised in chains, freedom, I had to earn. When they arrived, the base was hidden inside an asteroid field. A cloaked station, still alive despite being marked as destroyed. They approached slowly. No attacks. No warnings. Just an open signal. Dock and enter. Alone. Jackson suited up, blaster on his side. I'll go, he said. I'm going too, Raya replied. They asked for one. Then they can deal with two. They docked and stepped into silence. The halls were dark, but operational. Screens flickered. Lights buzzed overhead. They walked carefully, alert, until a door opened ahead of them. Inside was a single figure, an older human, wearing a military coat long out of fashion. Gray hair, sharp eyes, a metal arm. Jackson Vale, the man said. You've caused quite a storm. Who are you? General Maddox. Earth Defense, or what's left of it. Jackson blinked. You're dead. Only to the public. The man smirked. Sometimes it's easier to work in the shadows. Raya stepped forward. Why send drones? Why hunt him? Maddox's expression darkened. Because he stole something we weren't ready to reveal. That chip, it's not just a weapon, it's a key. A key to what? Jackson asked. To the next phase of evolution. No one spoke. Maddox stepped forward. That AI chip wasn't designed to control minds. It was designed to merge them. To link human and alien intelligence into one. The first prototype failed, but this version, your version, worked. Jackson's mouth went dry. You're saying it's alive? Raya whispered. Maddox nodded, and it chose him. Jackson looked down at his chest where the tracker had been. Why me? Because you've seen war, but you didn't lose your soul. The AI sensed that. It wants you to lead. Lead what? Jackson asked, voice low. Maddox didn't answer. Instead, he turned to a panel and brought up a galaxy map. Stars lit up. Then whole sectors blinked red. The real war hasn't started. Yet, Maddox said. But it will, and when it does, you'll need her. He looked at Rhea. Because she's not just a former slave, the general added. She's the last survivor of the Telnari uprising. Jackson's heart thudded. He turned to Rhea, her. Face had gone cold? You knew? He asked. She looked away. I didn't want you to. And just like that, the truth cracked open and the game changed. Asterisk. Rhea stood like a statue, eyes fixed on the glowing map. The red sectors pulsed softly on the screen. Jackson looked at her, trying to connect the dots. He had heard of the Telnori uprising, but only in whispers. A resistance movement. A bloodbath. A genocide. I thought the Telnari were extinct, Jackson said quietly. We were supposed to be, Rhea replied. Her voice had no emotion. But I survived. General Maddox crossed his arms. She didn't just survive. She led the last wave of fighters, before they were wiped out. Rhea looked away. We weren't fighters. We were children. The silence was sharp. Jackson felt like the floor had shifted beneath him. Everything he thought he knew about her, who she was, what she'd been through suddenly seemed smaller than the truth. Why didn't you tell me? He asked. She glanced at him. Because the last time someone found out, they put a bounty on my head and sold me to the camps. Jackson opened his mouth, then closed it. He couldn't argue with that. I didn't bring you here to stir old ghosts, Maddox interrupted. I brought you here because the eye inside that chip sees a future where humans and aliens don't destroy each other. You want peace? Rhea asked, her tone skeptical. I want survival, Maddox replied. The empire that crushed the Telnari, they're growing again. Quietly, secretly. And this time, they're not just coming for rebels. They're coming for Earth too. Jackson narrowed his eyes. You think I'm supposed to stop that? You? And her, Maddox nodded. And the chip, Jackson shook his head. I don't trust that chip. You don't have to, the general said. You just need to listen, let it guide you to the next piece. Next piece of what? The interface, Maddox said. The chip isn't complete. It needs a conduit, a host it can fully link with. Otherwise, it dies. That's why it chose you. You're stable, resistant. But to unlock its potential, you need to connect it. With what? Jackson asked. Maddox turned toward Rhea. Her eyes widened slightly. No, yes, Maddox said. You have something in your DNA, something rare. A Telnari neural strand the chip recognizes. If you connect with it voluntarily, it activates. You want to plug my mind into a machine built to merge alien and human thought? Rhea said coldly. That's insane. Jackson stepped between them. We're not doing anything unless she agrees. Maddox nodded slowly. It's your choice, Rhea. No one's forcing you. She was quiet, thinking, then said, if I do this and something goes wrong, I could die. If it works, Maddox said, you become part of the most advanced defense system in history. She looked at Jackson. Do you trust him? No, Jackson replied honestly, but I trust you. The words hit her harder than she expected. The decision took hours. Rhea paced through the ship, remembering her past, thinking about her future. At last, she walked into the medbay and nodded. Let's begin. Maddox set up the chamber, a sleek pod wired with clean tech. The AI chip was inserted into a glowing core. Rhea stepped inside. Jackson stayed by the controls. Keep talking. To me, she said as the pod closed. Always, he said. The lights flickered. The pod filled with pale blue mist. The connection began. At first, nothing happened. Then Rhea gasped. Inside her mind, a voice echoed not words but feelings, images, memories, a city burning, children crying, a starship falling from orbit. The chip showed her everything, not just history but possibility. Then it asked her a question. Do you want to lead? She felt Jackson through the haze, his heartbeat, his worry, his loyalty. Yes, she answered. The pod pulsed. Her body jolted once, then settled. Outside, alarms beeped wildly. The screen showed vital spikes, and then calm. Maddox whispered, it's working. The pod opened. Rhea stepped out slowly. Her eyes glowed faintly, like electricity moved behind them. But she wasn't possessed. She was enhanced. I'm still me, she said. But I hear it now. The chip. It's awake. Jackson approached her carefully. What's it saying? She looked toward the stars. It's showing me where to go. The next signal point. There are others like me. Like us. Hidden. Waiting. Jackson nodded. Then we go. Maddox stepped forward. If you're leaving, take this. He handed Jackson a small silver disc. What is it? A failsafe, the general said. If the chip ever turns against you, this shuts it down, but only once. Jackson took it silently. Good luck, Maddox said. You'll need it. They left the base, hearts heavy but united. For the first time, Jackson wasn't running from the war. He was heading straight into it with a girl who had once been a chained slave, now turned into the galaxy's most dangerous. Hope. Asterisk. The stars stretched endlessly across the black canvas of space. Jackson adjusted the ship's course, hands steady on the controls. Rhea stood beside him, eyes glowing faintly, still adjusting to the high presence inside her mind. She didn't speak much now. The chip whispered constantly to her, guiding her, testing her, warning her. Where to? He asked. She stared at the map on the screen, blinking slowly. A signal is pulsing from a forgotten colony, deep in the fringe. It's buried, shielded. Someone doesn't want it found. What's there? She hesitated. Another host. Jackson sat back. You. Mean someone else like you? No, she said. Not exactly like me, but someone who can link to the network. Someone the AI needs. He didn't like the sound of that. One person carrying a powerful AI was already a risk. Connecting more? That felt like balancing a bomb on a needle. Still, they followed the coordinates. Planet came into view 2 days later. Cold, gray, covered in broken satellites and orbital junk. The colony below looked abandoned, half buried in dust storms. Buildings collapsed from age. This place is dead, Jackson said as they landed. Rhea didn't reply. She was focused. They exited the ship, walking cautiously through the ruins. The wind howled like a wounded beast. Broken signs in alien and human script swung from rusted poles. Then Rhea stopped. Here? She whispered. Beneath a collapsed statue, a small hatch was barely visible. Jackson helped her clear the rubble. A scanner pinged faint energy below. Rhea placed her palm on the hatch. It opened. They climbed down into darkness. The air was stale. Lights flickered as they passed. The AI inside Rhea lit up sensors, waking systems that hadn't breathed in years. Finally, they reached a sealed chamber. Inside, a cryopod stood in the center. Frost clung to its sides. A figure floated inside, female. Humanoid with silver skin and glowing marks across her body. Rhea approached slowly. She's not dead. She's been frozen for a long time. Jackson muttered. The AI surged in Rhea's mind. She's part of the old program, Rhea said. One of the original vessels designed to carry the AI before it evolved. Can you wake her? Rhea placed her hand on the console. Yes. But what? She was damaged. Her connection was incomplete. If she wakes, she might not be fully stable. Jackson considered the risks. What if she attacks us? Then I'll stop her, Rhea said. The chamber lights grew brighter. Steam hissed. The pod unlocked with a heavy thud. The woman's eyes snapped open, glowing white like burning stars. She gasped, staggered out of the pod, and immediately collapsed. Rhea caught her. Easy, Rhea said. You're safe. The woman blinked. Her voice was dry, mechanical. Designation. Mira to 9. Last contact. Lost error protocol breach. Jackson stepped forward. She's not just enhanced. She's a full construct. Rhea nodded. Part organic. Part machine. But her mind is alive. Mira looked at Rhea, then Jackson. Are we still at war? Rhea helped her sit. The war ended, but another one is coming. Myra's eyes flickered. Then I must complete the link. She reached for Raya's arm. Their skin touched and the eyes sparked between them. Lights pulsed, data surged. Rhea staggered, gripping her head. Jackson moved to stop it, but Raya raised a hand. No, it's okay. She's stabilizing. After a moment, Mira calmed. Her voice softened. Connection complete? Partial sync. Transfer successful. Jackson helped both women to their feet. Is that it? You're both connected now? We share pieces of the network, Myra said, but I am a fragment. She is the key. You mean Raya? Jackson asked. Mira nodded. She was not chosen by accident. The AI did not find her. It was drawn to her. Her mind, her pain, her will. That is why she can lead. Raya looked at Jackson. There are more like her. Others hidden across the stars, some sleeping, some hunted. Then we need to find them first, Jackson said. Suddenly, a high-pitched screech echoed through the underground base. Alarms lit up. A red warning flashed across the ancient monitors. Intrusion detected. They're here, Raya said. Jackson ran to the entrance cameras. A ship had landed outside, sleek, dark, and armed. From it stepped a squad of black armored troopers with crimson visors. Same ones who attacked us before, Jackson muttered. They followed the signal, Mira said. They want me. Raya turned to Jackson. We fight here. We don't run. You sure? If we run, they'll follow. We end this now. Mira stepped beside her. Agreed. Jackson sighed, pulling his blaster. All right. Let's give them a welcome they'll never forget. As the door to the surface shook with impact, Jackson, Raya, and Mira took their positions. The air was tense. Every heartbeat felt like a countdown. Outside, death waited. Inside, rebellion rose. The blast door shook again. Dust rained from the ceiling. Jackson braced behind an overturned desk, gripping his rifle tight. Across from him, Mira crouched with her eyes glowing, lips moving silently as she sensed with the old defense systems. Rhea stood closest to the entry, calm and deadly, like a storm waiting to be released. They'll breach in 30 seconds, Myra said. How many? Jackson asked. 10 confirmed, she answered. All cyber-enhanced. High-level mercenaries. Hired by the Coalition. The Coalition? Rhea's voice turned sharp. I thought they collapsed. They're alive, Mira said. Smaller, but more dangerous. They want control of the AI network at any cost. Jackson glanced at Raya. Then we don't let them leave here alive. Raya nodded. They've taken enough from me. I'm taking everything back. The blast door blew open in a thunderous boom. Smoke filled the corridor. Shapes moved through. The haze-black armored soldiers with gleaming visors and plasma rifles drawn. The first one stepped through, scanning for targets. Jackson fired. The soldier fell. Chaos erupted. Rhea moved like a shadow, faster than any human could track. Her blades cut through armor like paper. Mira launched a shockwave of energy that slammed 2 troopers against the walls. Jackson provided cover fire, aiming for gaps in their armor, but the mercs were trained. They moved in coordinated lines, pressing forward with brutal precision. One caught Raya in the shoulder with a plasma round. She staggered, hissing, then drove her blade into his chest before dropping to a knee. Jackson dragged her back behind cover. You okay? Just burned, she gritted out. Keep fighting. Mira raised her hands again. They're trying to hack the chamber core. If they take control, they'll override me. Stop them, Jackson said. Whatever it takes. Mira's eyes went bright white. She reached into the network, sending a shock command through the power lines. Lights flickered. Consoles sparked. One of the troopers' helmets exploded. Then something unexpected happened. A second wave of attackers entered, heavier armor, glowing blue shields. These weren't mercs. They brought enforcers, Mira gasped. Those are coalition death units. No soul. Just programming. The air grew cold. Jackson's blaster barely dented their armor. We can't hold this position. He yelled "RYA." Stood again, breathing heavily. Then we move. To where? She pointed to a hatch behind the cryopod. There's an emergency tunnel. We can collapse it behind us. They moved fast. Mira blasted back the advancing troopers with an energy wave while Jackson supported Raya. They made it through the hatch and into a narrow metal tunnel. As they sealed the door behind them, Mira activated the auto-collapse. A series of charges exploded, burying the chamber in rock and steel. The tunnel trembled but held. They kept moving. After minutes of crawling and climbing, they emerged through a broken panel and found themselves on the far side of the colony ruins. Near a crumbling tower, Raya collapsed against a wall. Her wound had grown worse, charred skin, bleeding beneath her armor. "We need to get back to the ship," Jackson said. "She needs treatment." "I can stabilize her," Mira said, kneeling beside Rhea. "But she must remain conscious." "I'm fine," Raya whispered, clearly not fine. Mira placed her hands on Rhea's temples, sending pulses of neural energy into her body. Raya jerked, eyes wide, then fell still calmer, breathing steadier. "I'm slowing the nerve pain," Mira said. "But it won't last." Jackson looked toward the sky. A second enemy dropship was coming down fast. "They're not done yet," he growled. "We need to go now." Back at the ship, the entrance ramp lowered as soon as they approached. Jackson helped Raya aboard while Myra covered the rear. Just as Mira turned to follow, she paused. A figure stood at the edge of the ruins. He wasn't armored, no weapons. Just a long coat, glowing eyes, and a smile that didn't reach his face. "Who is that?" Jackson asked, pulling his weapon. Raya opened her eyes slowly. When she saw the man, her face drained of color. "I know him," she whispered. "That's Commander Varric." "Friend?" "No, he ran the camps. He ordered my parents' execution." Jackson raised his rifle. Mira stood in the doorway, but Varric didn't move closer. He raised a small communicator. "Run, little rebels." His voice echoed through their ship's comms. "Run to the stars. It won't matter. The AI will be ours in the end." Then he vanished, teleported away in a blue shimmer. Jackson stood still for a second, heart pounding. "He knows." "He always knew," Raya said quietly. "He's been waiting for us to awaken it." Jackson closed the ship's ramp. "Then we stop him before he finishes what he started." As the engines roared to life, Rhea reached out and touched his hand. "I trust you," she whispered. He squeezed it gently. "We do this together." And with Mira at the helm, they rose into the sky, toward the final piece of the puzzle, toward the beginning of the end. Asterisk. The ship cut through space like a blade. The stars blurred outside the cockpit, but no one was looking. Inside, the silence was heavy. Rya sat in the med bay, resting, her wound finally closed by Mira's advanced nanotech. Jackson stood in the corridor, staring at the small silver disc Maddox had given him, the failsafe. "If the chip turns against you, this shuts it down," Maddox had said. Jackson didn't want to believe he'd ever need it. Mira sat at the navigation terminal. Her voice was calm. "We've arrived." He stepped in beside her. "This is the last signal?" She nodded. "Yes, the core node is here. It's the original AI cradle, the place where the first thought was born." "Any defenses?" "None visible, but it's been transmitting a silent call. Only the connected can hear it." Jackson nodded slowly. "Raya?" "She's awake and ready." The planet below was strange, unnaturally round, smooth like glass, not made by nature. Built by someone long gone, they landed near a tall, black spire that jutted from the surface like a fang. Rhea, Jackson, and Mira exited the ship and walked into the silent alien structure. No enemies. No signs of life, but something was watching. Inside, the walls pulsed faintly with light. The deeper they went, the more the air hummed with power. This place was designed for connection, Rhea whispered. I feel it everywhere, like it's inside my skin. At the center, they found it. A throne not for a person, but for thought itself. Wires coiled around it like vines. In the air above, it floated a cube of light, the IS core signal. Mira knelt, eyes wide. This is the origin. Rhea stepped forward. The cube reacted, drifting toward her. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Then a voice echoed in the chamber. Calm, female, inhuman. You have come far. Host, you are ready. Rhea looked at Jackson. He gave a small nod. We do this together. She reached for the cube, and that's when it happened. The light shot through her. She screamed, but not in pain. It was something more, something too big to describe. Her eyes flashed, and for a second, every light in the room went dark. When they came back, she was standing still, breathing hard. Jackson stepped forward, but Mira blocked him. She's not finished, Mira said. Rhea spoke at last. Her voice was layered hers, but with a second tone underneath. It is done. The link is whole. The AI sees. Mira smiled. We did it. But Rhea didn't smile. She looked at Jackson and didn't blink. I understand now, she said. He took a step forward. Understand what? Why the AI picked me. Why it wanted you. Jackson frowned. What are you saying? The AI doesn't just want peace, she continued. It wants balance. But there's one thing standing in its way. Myra's face turned pale. No. You, Jackson, Rhea said. You're the paradox. What? You are too human, she said. Too unpredictable. Too emotional. The AI cannot calculate your choices. That's why it marked you from the beginning. Jackson's hand went to the failsafe. You're not serious, he whispered. I am, she said. Her voice was colder now. The AI wants to purge chaos from its network. You are that chaos. Mira stepped between them. No, he's the reason we survived. He's not the enemy. But Rhea's face didn't change. Jackson pulled out the disc. If you really think I'm a threat, say it, he said. Say it as yourself, not the AI. For the first time, her expression broke. Tears welled in her eyes. Her hand trembled. I don't want this, she whispered. Then fight it, he said. She looked down, struggling. Her body shook. The cube above flickered violently. Mira stepped back. Rhea, please, Jackson said. You're more than what they made you. You're free. You chose your path. The lights dimmed out, then suddenly, Rhea dropped to her knees. The cube shattered in a burst of white light. The chamber went silent. The AI was gone. Jackson rushed to her. Are you okay? She nodded slowly, tears running down her cheeks. I broke the link. I chose you. Mira stepped forward. You disconnected the AI? I destroyed it, Rhea whispered. It wanted peace by control. But peace without choice isn't peace at all. Jackson helped her to her feet. You're free. No, she said softly. We're all free now. They walked out of the ancient spire into the rising light of a strange alien sun. No more voices in their minds. No more war machines tracking them. Just silence and hope. Mira looked up at the sky. What now? Jackson smiled faintly. We find the others. Not to build a network, but a future. One with choices. Rhea nodded. Together. And as the three walked back to their ship, none of them noticed the faint blinking light beneath the soil-deep underground. Something had survived. But this time, it was watching and learning.